Hello and welcome to another Tuesday Talk with Ruby Reese. My name is Suzy Walsh and I'm here to interview Chris and Killian.
At this stage, you may have noticed that this week's episode is going to be slightly different from the usual. So we approached Suzy Walsh for another episode because every time we speak to Suzy, we get such a mine filled with information, and it is absolutely amazing to speak with Suzy every single time she comes on the podcast, and we're so appreciative when she comes on to share with us. However, Suzy this time had the idea that she wanted to take over the podcast and interview Chris and I all about dog nutrition. So Suzy wanted to come on and ask all of her questions. We came on slightly blind to what was going to happen, but we're absolutely delighted that Suzy was such a brilliant host for this episode. So slightly different format to usual, but I am absolutely sure you're likely to enjoy. So without further ado now, let's jump straight into the chat that we had with Suzy Walsh.
Super. So let's start at the beginning. Ruby's a Frenchie and she was an inspiration behind all of this. How did her story turn into the brand that is Ruby Reese today?
How did Ruby start this off? So I suppose lots of people know our story at this stage, but for anyone that hasn't heard it before, Ruby was born with allergies, or developed very early on in life, food allergies, and she was kind of like itching and scratching, and we kind of were very frustrated in trying to figure out what was going on with her. But all along the way, we were trying to figure this out, and we started looking at the backs of packs. So this is talking about shampoos, of foods, of treats, absolutely everything, even our own foods and things we were using in the house. We started looking into the ingredients of everything, and we were really shocked once you start looking at these ingredients lists. For a lot of products, how many ingredients are there, and how many ingredients you don't even know what they are. So that kind of spurred us on, and then once we realized that she had a food allergy, it was then kind of going on the search to find single ingredient treats and low ingredient foods and things like that. So I suppose it was out of frustration really at the very beginning.
We had to use this really harsh shampoo on her. Do you remember she had a bad rash and then a yeast infection, and we had to use one of these medical shampoos, and her skin was so dry and all these things. So that's why we came up with the shampoo as well, and the conditioner in the end.
And did you ever dream it was going to be what it is now? Because that's a huge leap to go from just your own dog. There's there's a huge amount of people who have these kind of issues with their pets, but they've never gone and taken this huge leap. Do you remember the time you sat down and spoke about it?
Yeah, we definitely remember when we sat down and spoke about it. I don't think we would recognize the company or the kind of the organization as it is today. We wouldn't recognize that entirely. We definitely recognize the products and the vision and the values, but I don't think we set out to. We definitely didn't set out to do a podcast. We definitely didn't set out to be camera facing. This is back in COVID times when we got Ruby and when she was young. So this is very much everyone that's kicking themselves now that didn't do silly dances on TikTok and become super famous from it because they were the only 4 people in the world doing it. We were part of that world as well. We didn't want to show our faces on social media. We definitely didn't dream of having a podcast, and we didn't know we were going to invest so much time and effort going into dog nutrition either. So I suppose we've learned so many things along the way, and it's kind of grown and developed. But I think anyone that has their own business or has had even a normal career, I suppose everything kind of progresses on a slow and an ever-changing kind of turnus, doesn't it?
You wouldn't have any chance, I would say, if you wouldn't go with the flow and see what's working, what's not working. I mean, you can imagine the biggest things, but in the end it comes in a different way anyway.
That's so true. If you lined up all the challenges one after the other, I don't think you wouldn't in your wildest dreams think of taking it on.
And Does Ruby know she's one of the most loved dogs in Ireland, seeing as her parents set up an entire company just to help her with her allergies?
She definitely thinks she's a star, I would say. But in the end, I would say she's just living her best life as every dog should do. But she thinks she's a star. I think out of other reasons, but definitely, yeah.
And I assume you've seen a complete transformation in her and her behavior and her skin and her health with all of as your knowledge grows.
Definitely. I think from our side, like when you have a dog in pain or discomfort, you're always going to see, all the different signs of it. And I'd be overstepping the mark by going into the behavioral side of things, but like, the itching, the scratching, you're going to be agitated if that's your life. I suppose the human listeners, which will be most of you, will, if you've had a broken arm or something, you'll understand, like when you're irritated, when you're in pain, it's just not going to be a pleasant experience. She was never really snappy, but I think she's definitely more happy in her life and more confident in her life, and just happy to get on with any attention that she's getting now at this stage. Yeah.
And so many things made a difference, like on the way. For example, we went to a nutritionist as well when she was a puppy, and get her a nutritional plan made specific for her. So, and this changed her life, our life. And it's so nice to do this now and change other dogs' lives and other people's lives. Yeah. So nice.
It must be just...
Yeah. It's closing a circle a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and it must feel so good when you get that feedback that somebody's dog is just transformed, and like the emotional part for the owner and seeing their dog so well, and just kind of simple changes, or it must be incredible.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think what's amazing to see as well is like people's confidence growing, and just saying, this I really can do this, and it actually doesn't have to be difficult. And even when they come in and they think that the world is a very difficult place for them and their dog, because they're dealing with pancreatitis, or they're dealing with kidney disease, they're dealing with allergies, and think that they've tried every avenue because they've tried many, and they come in often in a place of frustration and doubt, maybe that anything can help them. And quite a lot of the time we see a huge progression to see them being confident and saying, now I know what I'm doing. Now we've got a bit, even a glimmer of hope that we've got a handle on this thing. And that's so rewarding.
Especially the first customers we had with Dog Nutrition. Now, like if you write them an email and ask, how are you doing? We are fine. All good. So like we don't need you anymore. Thank you very much for everything, but we don't need you anymore. It's a little bit sad as well. You're not needed anymore.
I know. I get those emails as well.
This is what you want.
Yeah.
I mean, you as a behaviorist, you see it yourself. If they don't need you anymore, it's actually a good thing.
It's wonderful. Yeah. And actually, when you have to chase them down for an update, that's usually because everything is going great. So it's kind of one of those.
So many other problems now.
Yeah. It's almost, when I don't hear from them, I know everything is hunky-dory. And how does it feel like setting up, obviously, the business in Cork, and what's been the response from the community in Cork?
So I suppose Ireland is a small place. Everyone knows that. Everybody listening in definitely knows that Ireland's a small place, and Cork is a small place. And I suppose beginning, we were a little bit careful and a little bit worried that, what are people going to be saying? And Irish people are great at supporting people to a certain extent, but there's a certain level of begrudgery from parts of the society as well at times. So I think we were kind of a little bit worried about that, and a small community, but actually it's been, the absolute opposite. And it's a credit to the local Cork dog community and the Irish dog community in general, for really supporting small brands, for having a real interest in looking after their dogs, at least the clients that we meet, and that I'm sure that you see all the time as well, Suzy. It's so good to see that there is support there. And actually, if anyone is kind of saying, do I really want to post up more about my personal life on social media? I think usually people don't care enough. They don't have enough time in their day to care about what you're at, really, or to pass comment on it. I think that's for the case of at least an absolute majority of the Irish public. So it's actually been really, really good. And you know, Ireland can be a brilliant place to grow a business. So it's you know,
I thought it was
there's a lot to be said.
really funny, because actually I think of Cork as the foodie place of Ireland, for me anyway, because I'm a big foodie. So it was really funny that also now it's the foodie place for dogs and dog health and dog nutrition, which is, I think, quite a perfect pairing, you know?
And you
So
know what? For the last couple of years, we've been going to do a lot of events at Ballymaloo House, and there, of course, you get like a lot of amazing food options, amazing other traders there, small Irish businesses, very, very much so in the human food industry. So it's so cool to get to know these people, and a lot of our friends are food and drink producers now, from doing those types of events as well. So it's fascinating to see, and yeah, like you say, there's a great community for food and for, you know, good quality produce in Cork as well. Yeah.
it's great. And like, I was looking at, like, obviously I follow your story and your pages and stuff like that. What was the, because obviously when you go into a pet shop or you go to look at dog treats or you go to look at anything like that, and one of the things that sticks out about Ruby Reese and Dog Nutrition is your brand. It's just one ingredient. Like when you're looking at your treats, it's just fish. There's nothing else. What's the thought process obviously behind that, and what was kind of the aha moment that we don't need to add anything in, we don't want to put anything else in? Because often you get treats and they blind you with all this whole list of ingredients, and some of them, you know, maybe greenwashed or not greenwashed, where they add all of these super berries and all of this kind of thing. Why did you stick to just simple one ingredient?
It was just frustration. We were searching for, because of Ruby's allergies, we were searching for a clear ingredients list. We had a look on the ingredients list. We were searching for solo protein treats, especially during this time of the elimination diet. And it was nearly impossible to find solo protein treats. And then we thought, look, there has to be a way to make this better, in a better way. And then we thought about, like, what protein could it be? And after a lot of research, we found out that that fish comes very down in the list of allergens in dogs. So we were choosing the one which would be most suitable for the most dogs. Let's say it like this.
Yeah, and you're keeping it simple, because it's quite a hard thing to do, with, you know, not blind people by all of the pizzazz that some of the other treat brands do. It just keep it purely simple.
The good thing these days, everyone is doing this. So if you have a clean ingredients list, you're definitely shining out. So actually, it's sometimes it's better to make it simple.
Yeah,
I was actually going to say, simplicity is the key for us and is one of our big values. But I think, you know, if you really, really want to make lots and lots of money out of dog treats or dog food, you do exactly what you say. You greenwash the whole thing, because meat and fish and protein is going to be the most expensive ingredient potentially, or one of the most anyway. So if you're, you know, you want to cut that down and you add in kind of lots of other ingredients that are considerably cheaper, and then you say 1% of whatever magical ingredient you want to put on the front of the bag. That's actually how a lot of companies are approaching it, and it's not something that we particularly believe in.
Yeah, and I think it's a hard thing for people, because what I come across when I'm talking to clients, and I'm sure you're the same, they actually don't really know what to be feeding their dog. They don't know what ingredients to be looking for. They don't think about, you know, they're always constantly worried about making the mark and making sure a food is nutritionally complete. And that's what scares them from kind of making the leap or changing a diet. How do you navigate that with a client? Because I assume they start to stress about that if you start to change a diet, or they get worried about changing something that they're used to.
I have the feeling that the people are, like, when they're coming to you, they're seeking for help. They are not that I say that they would believe you everything, but out there all these opinions of the vets, of the industry, and they're just seeking for this guidance. And I would say they're happy that someone is giving them options, and not options like out of everything. They're giving them, let's say, 3 options, which are all good. So they still have the ability to choose and make their own decisions, but from fewer products.
Yeah.
So what we are doing is not, we don't make decisions for people. We don't say, oh, you have to use this or this and this. What we do is we narrow down their options. This is what we do.
Which is actually my next question, which was, you say it's the best diet that works for the household, which is really obviously quite refreshing, because you're not forcing something down like that someone's throat. You're giving them options, and you're not saying it's one way or the highway. And have you had difficult cases where you've kind of had to completely rethink plans, or is everybody kind of happy to follow along with the options that you've given them, or one or more?
Sometimes I think people are coming with an idea how to feed their dogs, and then after a while, after talking to them, after giving them options and explaining them what it means, for example, like, let's say raw feeding, what does it mean? If you have a toddler in the house, like it's a hygiene thing as well, and all these things. And then they're considering, and yes, of course, sometimes they have to rethink and say, look, perhaps at the moment, this is not the best feeding form for us, out of reasons. And then we try to find them the best option for their situation. So that means, for example, you can't feed raw for a reason. For example, you have a toddler in the house, and a good kibble can do the same good job for, let's say, 2 years, till the kid is out of the age where they're crawling around and touching everything, and then you can still change over to raw food. So yeah, sometimes we have to rethink, but in the end, there's always a solution.
Yeah,
A good solution for the household.
I assume, I can only speak for, actually, you saw my mom's dog, who's doing great, actually. And he would have been on a prescription diet.
That's great.
Yeah, she's not the easiest case, I will have you know, and as you both know. And just to let anyone who's listening, not the most straightforward person. I adore her every hair in her head, but she has her own ideas. But coming from a prescription diet, which was kind of working for the dog, but also not at the same time, that was quite a hard leap, and I had to, give her that extra nudge as well to say, come on, give it a go. And she was like, well, actually, the prescription food is kind of working. I'm like, but it's not. And it was, but it's not. You're managing, but it's not actually working. And that I find that must be quite a hard leap to make when someone's already attached to something, especially coming from a veterinary professional, or if that prescription food has helped somewhat, or that sensitive food has helped and is better than, the dog was, but it's not yet where that dog could be. I assume can be quite sometimes a struggle.
Yeah, but most of the people seeking our help, I really have to say, nearly everyone wants to change something. Mm-hmm. They already made the step of seeing, okay, this is not working. There is a problem. Perhaps they don't know which one it is. They don't know where to change and what to change, but they know something has to change. And this is the first important step.
Yeah. And I think it comes down to us as well, that we see it as our responsibility to do good discovery with the client as well when we start working with them at the beginning. If someone says, oh yeah, I'd really like to do a home cooked diet, but I can hardly cook for myself, it's not, that's not going to fit into their lifestyle. So it's all about being realistic and making it work for them, because they're going to have to be able to carry this out for the rest of the dog's life potentially, or at least, for a good while to make a difference. So it's kind of all about trying to find a suitable option for them, because, there's probably always going to be a best case, but it's also about figuring out what's going to fit into their world, and then on top of that, the individual dog. So like I mentioned, we worked with a lot of cases. Okay, sometimes it's the problem, as Chris Fraser was like, the problem is that our client just doesn't know how to balance a diet for their dog, but oftentimes as well there could be a medical or a veterinary kind of topic coming into it, and that's where we really need to get into tailoring the diet then to make it work for the individual as well.
These are the cases where you really have to tell people sometimes this is just not possible. For example, if your dog has pancreatitis and he loves duck, but sorry, duck is not suitable for a pancreatitis dog. It's just too fat.
That's
you know,
too
like
fat.
in these, yeah, but this is just one example, but you have more of these. Like, for example, if your dog has kidney disease, you can't feed them brown rice anymore. It has to be the basmati rice. Yes, of course, the other one is nicer and better, and everyone says, yeah, but look, it's just too high in phosphorus. So like these things, sometimes you have to tell people it's more like what's not possible sometimes.
Yeah,
you know? Like,
yeah. And
they want the best for their dog, but sometimes what you think the best for your dog it's not the best for your dog.
Yeah, for that individual, I suppose, you know, I was always told nutrition is a study of one, and I don't know if that applies to your thinking as well. But you know, everybody is an individual, so what works for one can't work for the other. Yeah.
And
Absolutely,
I think like every one of our clients gets their own individual kind of report at the end with everything kind of laid out for them. And no two of those are exactly the same. I'm not talking about the weight of the dog being a couple of kilos more or less at the top. I'm talking about like none of those two look exactly the same. Obviously, you'll see some red threads running through, say, like Chris mentioned, you know, the kidney diets, that there may or may not be similarities there. But it's never a copy paste. It's always, like you mentioned, the study of one. You know, it's really one individual. And we've had a couple of multi dog households, sorry. And of course, there's different plans done for different dogs. Obviously, we take into account like how much time do you have on your hands and how specific do you want to get. But they definitely would take into account, you know, the dog's age, the dog's general health, their digestive system, and how that's working out, and things like that, and of course the weight. Yeah.
Have you ever had any very strange myths or questions asked by clients where there was something? I know I have.
I think there are no...
There's no strange questions.
Yeah, but I don't think there are strange questions, especially because the industry is telling people everything. So you heard everything. And then on top of the industry telling people things, the internet is telling things, which is by far not true most of the time. And so, no, I don't think there are strange questions. It's just people don't know it better, and this is totally fine. Of course, you have like what the question I get often, and I always like at the beginning I was a little bit like, oh God, didn't I do enough or something? When the people ask, oh, that's everything. That's all. Is it so easy? Is it so easy? So sometimes I was like, especially in the beginning, I was like, do they expect more, or did you do something wrong? But no, it's just people have like sometimes in their mind that a home cooked or a raw diet has to be so complicated, so many ingredients or something like this, which is not true. It can be really, really easy. So yeah, that's a question I always get, and yeah, I think it's a fun question.
Well, that's a good thing. You're probably doing all of your detective work and with all the information that you're given, and then making it as easy as possible for the person. And yeah, they probably are shocked that this complex issue that they've been having, it can be made so simple. Which is amazing.
And sometimes I have sometimes I'm sharing the screen, and then sometimes people have a glimpse on the program we use, which are, I think, I counted it 150 numbers on one screen and some graphs and all these things. And they were like, Jesus, this is this is crazy. But yes, it's way more complicated in the background.
But yeah, and that's hopefully very encouraging for listeners, you know, if they are thinking of making that leap, and it's not going to be something where you have to maybe have a thermometer and weigh out your ingredients by the gram and import something from abroad and spend hours a day prepping. Yeah,
no, definitely not.
That's-
Sometimes it's really, really easy. Yeah.
Yeah. If you had kind of 3 quick nutritional wins that you wish kind of everyone would do with their dog on the basis that they didn't have any other health complications, what would you be saying? Like, what would you be saying to add to their diet or taking away from their diet? What would be, if that you could tell everybody, the best thing that they could do for their dog for health or longevity? Do you have anything?
Like, I think like what people can do, the first thing is open your eyes. I think this is, we thought about this a bit, and I think open your eyes is one of the most important things. Have a look on the ingredients lists. First of all, this is don't look at the front of the package, look at the back first. Open your eyes. And then also think about who is telling you something now. Like, do they have a catch? Do they want to sell you something? Do they really know what they're talking about? I mean, I love all of our vets, and I'm pretty sure they know a lot, but sometimes they don't know anything about nutrition. Not all of them. Don't understand me wrong. There are quite a few who knows a lot, but not all of them are. So always have an open mind, look out and be the advocate for your dog. Educate yourself a bit. Yeah, that's number one, I would say, the most important thing.
I'm going to go for a super simple one and say omega oil. Like, get omega-3 into your dog's diet. It's I don't care where you get it from, as long as it's a good source of omega. It can be from fresh sardines, it can be from whatever you want, but find a way to get good quality ones into your dog. It's going to help with literally everything. I think if you look into the power of omega-3, there've been studies done on brain health, cognitive ability, even some case studies on kind of brain development in puppies. There's obviously the muscles and joints and everything, you know, the whole musculoskeletal system. Heart health is huge. So like, yeah, omega oil, I don't need to promote it anymore. Get omegas into your dog.
And then number 3, I would say digestibility. Look out for digestibility. Some people just giving their dogs all these ears and pizzles and all these things, which is nice, which is fine. Don't understand me wrong. You can definitely do this, but they are really, really hard to digest. And this sometimes leads to diarrhea or loose stool or something like this, where people think, oh, it's an allergy now, or the gut is not okay, or something like this. Sometimes it's just this, hard to digest things we give our dogs as a long chew.
And I think that's a brilliant point, because digestibility, you know, like obviously all these tendons and these really kind of tough cartilage parts are really difficult to break down, you know. And if a body is already under stress, like kidney disease, like your pancreatitis, like a senior dog, that their digestive system is slowing down a bit. If you're giving them, you know, multiple collagen or, you know, cartilage heavy pieces of chews every day to keep them quiet, like, you know, it's going to be really tough for them at times. And some dogs are doing great on them, that's fine. But if you're seeing your dog kind of might need that bit of an easier to digest situation, that digestibility is overlooked for a lot of people.
So is that in that scenario you'd advise a filled Kong or something like that instead of a long-lasting chew, or are there long-lasting chews that are digestible, or is it undigestible and long-lasting? Does that really go hand in hand?
The problem with the long chews, normally they are really made from these parts of animals we they are so hard to digest, we can't use them in food.
Okay.
That's why they're using them as long chews. They're hard to chew on, they're hard to digest. So if you have a healthy dog, that's absolutely no problem. I'm just saying, like, if your dog has some problems like diarrhea or something, perhaps think about it. Perhaps this could be the reason for it.
Yeah.
And if you have a dog, like a Kong is definitely a Kong with nice pate in it, or even a frozen Kong or something like this, is definitely as good. Or a snuffle nut. Why not a snuffle nut? The brain is wear the brain out, not the dog. Like,
and just so that people don't think that we're just going after the chews, like we're also kind of in a certain sense talking about like raw feeding for a senior dog. You might want to think twice about it, particularly if you've noticed, like, if the dog is thriving on it, work away. But there might be a point where you say, this dog is already kind of slowing down a bit and having a bit more trouble digesting. Make the food a bit more digestible. You can easily move over to a home cooked diet that might be a little bit easier for them to digest. So when you think about a dog being a carnivore and or a very meat eating omnivore, I don't really care what way people want to argue that one. Breaking down things like plant material, too much plant material in their diet can also be quite difficult for them to have, particularly if it's not cooked. So there's a couple of things in there. We're not just attacking one part of digestibility and not touching another either.
And if you had a magic wand and there was one thing you could change about the pet food industry, what would it be?
Ethics. Give them ethics.
You're right.
Sorry, no,
Yeah.
really, I have to say it like this. That like in this industry, with so many, not all, but with so many producers, the money is the most important thing and not the dog. And if I could change this, I would do this right away.
Yeah. The legislation around packaging,
that would be another one.
is insane. And I think the fact we touched on it earlier, but the fact that you can kind of throw in a sprinkle of goji berry and you're kind of masking all of the basically rubbish that you put into some of these treats and some of these feeds, I think that's insane. And the fact that you can put these ingredients in bright colors on the front of the package. So that's why we tell people we can only win as a community if you start turning the pack around and just reading through the list. Even if you don't understand them the first time, you'll get to know more and more of these ingredients and seeing what's in there. And when you see a list that's packed with with ingredients that you might say, is that really benefiting my dog? Particularly the sugary ones. You turn over some things and you get like molasses, sugar, and then you get things even like potato starch. Like starch is just a sugar. You get all of these fun words for basically saying that it's full of sugar.
Or they're splitting between yellow and green peas. Come on.
Yeah. And it's all that. It's just totally masking and pretending to be nutrition for your dog when it's really not. It's it's quite amazing, because sometimes when you look at the back of I look at the back of puppies' food all the time when I go to people's homes, and sometimes I can't even find the ingredients. They're so tiny, and the list I can't even find the English, which is the only language I can sadly speak. And you're just trying to wade through the list to find something that I can understand without a science degree.
And actually, to that point as well, Suzy, like on the ingredients and on the difficulty of understanding the labels as well, they're non-standardized, so you can basically kind of write whatever you want. You can put them, they have to be in order in the EU. So if the first ingredient is rice does need to go in there. Like Chris mentioned, there are splitting techniques that you can split that into 30% white rice and 30% brown rice, so that it goes behind the 31% rabbit that's in there. So that is, there are tricks out there. But another trick that's there, and that it's deliberately masking this, is splitting ingredients between active ingredients and inactive ingredients. So you might see this on some of the cheaper, or maybe not even cheaper, but what I consider cheap ingredients at least, kind of nutritional supplement treats, let's say, where you'll see the active ingredient being whatever it is, spirulina, and your like green lip mussel, a really expensive ingredient. You'll have all of these listed out in the top, in whatever order that they're in the thing. But then they'll say inactive ingredients, and that'll start off with your potato flowers, your sucrose, your whatever, that they decide to put in there. But they've split it into two separate lists, so that you can never tell that all the things that you saw up at the top, all the good things, the ones that you think you're spending your money on, are actually 1%, 0.5%, 0.25% of the thing. So it's I think that should potentially be made illegal, because it's just companies literally pulling the wool over our eyes, and very intentionally and very obviously doing it.
Functional treats are a thing anyway. Like if it sounds too good to be true,
it might
believe me, it's too good to be true.
Yeah, that's the old saying, isn't it? And I could listen to you talk about nutrition, like I've learned even so much in this few minutes. But let's talk Tuesday Talks. How did that come about? How did you decide, or when did you decide, or why did you decide to start a podcast?
So we didn't actually. We decided to start some Instagram lives way back when, and it was actually May 2 years ago. And we were going to a lot of events at the time. We were meeting a lot of dog professionals, you included. And we realized that there was just oodles of information. Now, you said the same thing about us talking about nutrition. Whenever you speak about behavior, like I say it to people all the time, whenever I speak with Suzy, every time she opens her mouth, I learn something. And that's the same with, Catherine Griffin. That's the same with Suzy White and Kilkenny. It's the same with so many people around this island, that it's just fascinated us that we learned something from so many of you. And I knew that we had to get that out to a broader community. I knew we were in quite a privileged place to be going to all of these dog events all the time. And we started off as, I wanted to do like a mini series of lives on Instagram, which we started off with, and we did like a full year of those. And then the quality started really dropping, and it was quite difficult for people to join. And I don't know, they did software updates and stuff. And at some point I said, this is getting out of control. And I can be a bit of a control freak at times. So I just said, you know what? Let's go into the whole podcast thing. We ordered this mic, we ordered the camera I'm talking on, and we just decided to go straight. The software we're working with at the moment, we ordered everything straight away, and we said, okay, we're just going full on in, and we're doing it now as a podcast. So that's how it turned into a podcast, was admiration for the absolute outpouring of intelligence and knowledge in this country from the dog world, and we just need to amplify the good information, don't we?
Yeah, I know, it's brilliant. I would have gone with just public demand. You could have just said that. The public demanded those lives turn into podcasts. But do you have a favourite episode? Not necessarily a favourite person or a favourite topic? Or how do you come up with a topic? Or who, for your listeners, how does that come about? Or how do you decide what you'd like to talk about next?
So a favorite episode, I would say no. We don't have, I think we don't have a favorite episode. Of course, there are some episodes which just stick out because they are relevant in this situation. Like we had last year, the breed-specific legislation when just before the XL bully ban came in. So this was definitely something which was very relevant at this time. And then we have some which these are not even the ones with the most listeners, but for me, they are very important. Like, for example, grieving after pet loss. This was one of these episodes which is constantly listened to still, and it's nearly over a year now since this one came out. And we still we still have people coming and say, look, this episode really helped me. This was a beacon in my grief. And this is actually something, it was a very powerful episode, to be honest with you. But every episode is so important for so many people. And we were talking about really think we even talked about alpacas. This was all episodes are
I think important. I have to agree. The full spectrum of everything that we get to talk about is just fascinating. And I have to say, I do a lot of the organizing of the episodes, and I kind of reach out to a lot of people, as you know. Some people might call it bullying, some people might call it encouraging, but I encourage a lot of people to come on and chat about different topics, and it comes, I suppose, in a little way from a selfish place, you know. I really want to learn about these topics, and I find them really interesting, and I'm just hoping that everyone wants to come along for the ride. So I've been learning loads and having a great old time with the podcasts. But yeah, I suppose it just comes from what I find fascinating. And people kind of come up with their own topics sometimes as well. I might approach someone about a specific topic, and then they'll say, yeah, but that isn't actually my area of expertise. Maybe you didn't understand my forte that well, but I'd love to talk about this one thing that I really care about and I'm passionate about, and I'm willing to go do a real deep dive in this really niche area. I'm like, yes, let's go for that. That sounds way more interesting. You know, it's not that difficult to encourage me to talk about any topic, really.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify for the audience that it was my idea to do this particular one, and I think I bullied the guys into doing this particular one and this kind of format, just to put it out there. So yeah, I was liking the opportunity to be on the questions side of it.
This will be a special one.
A lot of fun.
And I forgot about a really special one. I think we mentioned it in our birthday episode already, but still, at this point, perhaps it's nice to say it again. We had an episode which was translated, and I really synchronized into French. So if you want to have a glimpse into it, just go back to the birthday episode, and I put a small snippet, a clip in there. Yeah.
And isn't that so incredible? Funny, isn't it? You know, it's and I've loved every episode. You know, it's just. And it's sometimes the episodes are on a topic, and then the topic takes a turn, and then you're in a whole other world of information that you didn't think you were starting out to. You know, I listen to it when I'm actually working a lot of the time. Not with a client, but I get such inspiration, and then I go down a rabbit hole of Googling papers and reading this and reading about this person, and it's just, yeah, it's been amazing. On a lighter note, I suppose, if Ruby could host her own podcast, what would it be about, and who do you think she'd like to interview?
Who did this episode about autonomy for dogs again?
She was an amazing speaker that was talking about giving your dog autonomy.
She would be applauding for that one. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think every dog would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I know.
Ruby's a typical bully breed, and she'd love to have Suzy Walsh talking about giving your dog autonomy in their day-to-day life, because she does love her independence, and she has her own kind of little places where we don't touch her, we don't go at her at all. Like, she has it's a dog bed that's in the shape of a teepee, so like an American Indian or Native American teepee, and that's her little tent, and she, like, if she goes in there and she sticks her head out and whatever, but that's her place for quiet space. And she has another couple of spaces in the house, and she's very much like, she likes her own space, and she likes to be able to decide who she wants to engage with. And most of the time she loves kind of interaction and interacting with strangers and with strange dogs and everything, but sometimes she just needs a little bit of a breather and just say, okay, I need a time out now, I need space on my own. So I think she would love, honestly, a topic just like that.
Yeah. You have to show her a little bit more. There's a lack of Ruby a lot of the times. We need to see more Ruby. Is she there? No.
She is snoring right next to me.
She is snoring. Let's not disturb her.
She's really snoring. She's really snoring now. She's actually dreaming. She's running in her sleep. So yeah, the thing is, the times we are recording the podcast is mostly in the evenings, and she's
had her day.
She's sleeping. Like after
She's-
5:00, there is no action anymore. This is sleeping time.
dinner
It's
and
in the
sleep, yeah.
middle. Yeah, dinner and sleep. It's in the middle of the night. So basically,
And which is perfect for
yeah.
my next question. How, with doing, running a brand and consulting and doing podcast, how do you make it fun and not incredibly just really stressful? How are you not completely burnt out? Or are you?
It's the
And
people.
the people.
It's no. It's like, of course, like, to be honest with you, and it would be a lie if we would say, oh, we are never stressed. No, we are stressed, and sometimes more than we want to. But look, we have a lot of fun as well. We have a lot of fun with the dogs. We have a lot of fun with the people. The clients are nice. Like, we have a lot of fun, but of course it is a lot of stress. It's not, it takes a lot of time. But look, in the end, if you love something, then it doesn't really feel like work most of the times.
Well, you
Exactly,
make
and
it
I
look
think-
seamless.
But thank you, because it's
Thank
it's
you.
not,
That's
not
what we wanted.
it's not always as precisely engineered behind the curtains, but I'm sure that's the same in any theatre around the country. So yeah, like, I suppose the big thing for us is the community. Like, we lean on our community here for the podcast. And in fairness, we've halved them this year because we're bringing them out every second week rather than every week, which we were doing last year. Now, 52 episodes was an absolute marathon. It was a pleasure, but it was also a marathon. And I wanted to experiment, or we wanted to experiment with how would it work if it came out every fortnight instead. And it's worked brilliantly for us. It's actually been fantastic just to it's added a new lease of life into the podcast, because we've just got more time to enjoy them, like you say. So I think sometimes it's about, like, what small tweaks can we make to make it actually fit for us and make it fun again, and to stop ourselves burning out, because you're no use to anyone when you've burnt out, right? So it's important to kind of keep it in check.
Well,
So also some people might have noticed that we are not on so many events anymore. So we are not every weekend on a market. We are not every. So this is just a decision we made at the beginning of the year to step back a bit and give us a bit of time and ease and weekends.
yeah, which is so important. So important. Even though I have to say, the only weekend I went to Cork to visit you and at the market and surprise you was the weekend that you weren't there. So
Sorry,
I have to come down again.
Well, Christmas is coming at a faster rate than some people might believe. So we've got a couple of events coming up between now and Christmas anyway. So we'll definitely be at the Pet Expo in Dublin, and we'll be at Ballymaloe, our old haunt, for both of the November craft fairs as well. So yeah, there's a couple of things coming up where we do get to go out and see all the people that we love to see. I was only saying it to Chris last night that I was looking through exhibitor lists for both of those particular events, and I was saying, oh my God, I really can't wait to see so many of these people. So yeah, it's nice to lean on community and to kind of have that human interaction part to running a business as well.
So can you give us any sneak peeks or what's next for Ruby Reese and dognutrition.ie? Or is that too much for pressure?
We have a full we have a full drawer of ideas. This is not the point.
Yeah.
But realistically, at the moment, we are working hard in the background for no new website for dognutrition.ie, or part of the website. A bit more easier structure for people to understand and to book, and making a few videos to explain what we are doing, just to give the people more confidence before getting in contact. And then the Christmas markets are already coming. sooner than we think, and then next year we will see.
And I suppose from the Ruby Reese perspective as well, like with the online shop and also at markets and events and stuff, we've learned a lot from our sessions with, one-on-one with clients in the nutrition space, and particularly the ones that have very specific needs, very specific health conditions, and it's always great to find these kind of unique cases where you see, God, there's a real gap in the market in Ireland for this or that. So we haven't been crazily developing our own products, but we've found loads of great options from the continent and further afield that we've started slowly but surely bringing in on our website as well, just to give people options, particularly for really special cases. So I suppose that's kind of keep learning, keep adapting, but it's more tweaking that we're doing at the moment. We've done enough crazy leaps forward in the last while.
Super. So I have a little quick fire round because I'm nosy and I think it's a little bit of fun. And if you're happy to answer some 1-word questions, then, or 2-word questions, we're not that strict, to both of you, just so people get to know you a little bit more.
1 or 2-word answers, you mean?
Oh, it's answers, sorry. Well, they're also very short questions too. But yes.
Yeah.
So I suppose I'd ask you, so coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Whether or not.
Morning person or night owl?
Both.
Morning person.
Favorite dog breed apart from Frenchie? You can't say Frenchie.
Great Dane.
Italian Greyhound.
Nice. Go-to comfort food? Doesn't have to be healthy. Preferably not healthy.
Like a big cheesy pasta.
God, Jesus. Schnitzel. Being a bit German now.
Love a good schnitzel. Perfect. One dog product you couldn't live without. Or maybe Ruby couldn't live without. Can be anything. Doesn't have to be.
Our leave-in conditioner. We use it all the time, honestly. Yeah.
Omega oil.
Omega oil. Perfect. And lastly, one dog myth you'd love to banish forever.
That there's bad dog behaviour.
I love it. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure asking you all these questions and even getting back answers I wasn't necessarily expecting. And it's just been fascinating. And I love listening to you talk about nutrition because it's something that I need to upskill in. So I've learned so much even from this evening, and more about you guys because I didn't know any of those answers either. So
thank you so much, Suzy.
Thank you so much.
So enjoyable speaking with you. I feel like we can always talk about nutrition, so it's always a safe bet. But it's always really, really great speaking with you. So thank you so much for having us on your / our podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. Thanks to both of you for allowing me this luxury.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
See you soon.
Bye.
And once again, a huge thank you to Suzy for coming on and interviewing us on a very different episode of Tuesday Talks with Ruby Reese. So if you'd like to find a little bit more information out about what Suzy Walsh offers, you can find her website dogbehaviour.ie and as well as all of her social media handles in the show notes. You can also, of course, find links to dognutrition.ie, which is our nutritional consultation service, and you can find, of course, the Ruby Reese website and handles as well. Thank you very much for listening in. Your attention and your interest is, as always, really, really appreciated. We love you as an audience, and we would love you even more if you could subscribe and like and share our podcast wherever you possibly can. Thank you very much, and we will be back with another guest very soon.